I love Robot, you love Robot, everybody loves Robot. Why? Because it was the debut story of the iconic Fourth Doctor. To say that Tom Baker gave it his all was an understatement. Never before had a new regeneration awakened with such lively, goofy charisma, and Baker's initial energetic burst inspired the opening act of numerous incarnations of the Doctor to come. Robot, named the Giant Robot in book form, was good for a host of other reasons. It was to be the last Earth-based adventure of Doctor Who for an entire series, it saw the debut of new assistant Harry Sullivan, and Sergeant Benton got promoted to Warrant Officer. That's good. But in the midst of all the history made in this four-part story, it's easy to overlook the central antagonist himself, Robot K1. A very interesting character. By the way, I found no evidence to support any theory that he's related to K9, so we'll just skip over that bit. He was King Kong, he was Frankenstein's monster, he was a sort of confused Robocop, and he was one of the most morally just characters in that particular story, perhaps even more so than the Doctor himself. In very odd fleeting references, K1 has lived on in Doctor Who mythology, but despite his namesake, he's never one of the first Doctor Who robots that spring to people's mind. So here's a little nod solely to that character. After the components and plans needed for a top-secret disintegrator gun are stolen by a strange being with metal claws, the Doctor unit and Sarah Jane Smith turn their attention to the antics of Think Tank, the technologically pioneering brainchild of some rather shady scientists with more than a few secrets. The fresh-faced Doctor swiftly ascertains that the strong and sneaky assailant is indeed a homegrown creation wielded by people in powerful places. It is, however, Sarah Jane Smith who first meets Robot K1 in the flesh, and K1 does appear nothing more than an autonomous lapdog with a calculator for a brain. His prime directive is to serve humanity and never harm it. Simple, right? Well, no. In a later conversation, the robot's inventor, J.P. Kettlewell, openly admits to basing the robot's programming on his own brainwaves, and therefore allowing K1 to inherit a somewhat human quality. Sarah Jane, being one of the most righteous Doctor Who companions of all time, was the first to call out the butt-headed actions of K1's handlers, stating that despite the fact that it wasn't human, it clearly expressed distress. You see, just for a joke, the horrid Hilda Winters ordered the robot to destroy Sarah Jane. This was a conflict of directives, and so K1 couldn't do it. Winters proved her point, and the robot clearly did not enjoy the experience. And so it became swiftly apparent that even though they were giving this machine directives, they were also appealing to his morality, stating that specific targets were enemies of humanity and therefore needed to be destroyed for the greater good. As was plainly clear, K1 was nothing less than a sentient life form with a strong ethical standing and loyalty to his people. Even when tasked with destroying the Doctor, he openly declared his intent to cause no unnecessary pain. He actually says please when asking the Doctor not to resist. By now a pattern emerges, as Sarah Jane is once again the one to temper the robot's misguided principles, before Unit comes along to ruin everything. Seriously, Unit? Yeah, good use of your promotion there, Benton. The robot does actually almost slip over in that scene. I'm not sure that was intentional. In the latter portion of this story, audiences are given chance to sympathise more with the character of Professor Kettlewell, or so you are led to believe. Turns out Kettlewell is actually in league with the baddie scientists, though through the same level of coercion as the robot himself. At the heart of all of these dastardly schemes are the Scientific Reform Society, a committee of ultra-conservative scientists intent on obtaining the codes to every nuclear missile in the world, therefore resetting planet Earth in their own image via radioactive fallout. These lily-livered thugs used K1 to do their dirty work, cowardly appealing to his, well, humanity in a bid for him to perform their wicked acts. The good thing about creating a monster to carry out your terrible schemes is that nothing can ever go wrong. Yeah, right. After K1 accidentally zaps his creator and mentor into nothingness, he flips, falling into what the Doctor states is suppressed Oedipus complex leading to excessive guilt and overcompensation. K1 has now had it up to here with human beings, and why wouldn't he? They lie, they betray, they go against everything that he was programmed to believe in. The only solution in K1's eyes is to launch those nukes, dust the human race, and build a new army of morally sincere robots like himself. He also fully intends to safeguard the one genuinely earnest human in his own living experience, the one person who showed him kindness, Sarah Jane Smith. This is the King Kong bit. Bless Unit, they really do try, but After throwing everything in their arsenal at the robot, including... yeah, that's just a toy, isn't it? The Brigadier exacerbates an already turbulent situation by shooting the robot with its own disintegrator gun, thus making him massive. You see, Kettlewell also let slip that K1 is made of living metal, and this is indeed capable of growing. The disintegrator gun gave K1 the exact burst of energy he needed, and now Unit is... yeah, more trouble than they're worth. Hard luck for that poor guy. And him. After the robot scoops up Sarah and puts her to rooftop safety, nice touch, the Doctor comes to the rescue. In digging out Kettlewell's notes, he creates a chemical solution capable of destroying the robot's armour, and yep, that's the end of that. Put it down to regeneration teething problems here, but the Doctor is a little too 8.5 on this one. I can't really condone it, I gotta be honest. And so, in the grand scheme of things, K1 did not really seem up to much. With adventures featuring Sontarans, Daleks and Cybermen coming up in rapid succession, this misguided Earthborn warrior was swiftly lost in the realms of obscurity. He was by no means the most powerful, agile or cerebral of the Doctor's opponents, but in his clunky shell was a soul which separated him from the villainous ways of many of his antagonistic peers. As stated by the Doctor in the closing scene, he was capable of great good and great evil. K1 was a thoughtful and ultimately tragic portrayal of misplaced trust, of how the better nature of a kind heart can be at risk of exploitation in support of a foolhardy cause. One can take away from this story the fact that this devoted and passionate creature did in fact do nothing wrong, only that his fleeting experience in the world provided a tumultuous and frustrating learning curve which led to an extreme reaction. So here's to K1. It wasn't his fault. If you want reminding that Doctor Who had always been capable of dishing out extremely good storytelling, this is a grand example. What are some of your favourite misunderstood Doctor Who villains? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Have a good one.